Hey man, there's a certain kind of man who doesn't even have to raise his voice to dominate a room. He doesn't chase women, doesn't seek validation, and doesn't fold when things get messy. He moves slowly, speaks less, and keeps his energy contained no matter how emotional the moment gets. And women, they feel that deeply. Because in a world full of men who jump at every shift in tone, who rush to fix, who beg for reassurance, there's something magnetic, almost intoxicating, about a man who just doesn't flinch. And once she experiences that kind of stillness, that kind of internal mastery, she doesn't forget it. In fact, she starts craving it. The man who doesn't flinch is different because he's not driven by emotional reactivity. He doesn't chase after her moods. He doesn't lose sleep over every delay in response. He doesn't panic when things get quiet. He doesn't let her distance control his mind. Why? Because he knows something most men don't. The strongest move is often stillness, and that stillness isn't weakness, it's power, refined. A power that says, I'm aware of what's happening, but I refuse to be controlled by it. And women respect that far more than any emotional outburst ever could. When you don't flinch, she realizes she can't shake you. Not with silence, not with attitude, not even with distance. And that stability, that consistency, it becomes a psychological anchor for her. Because whether she admits it or not, she's used to men chasing after every little mood swing. She's used to them begging for closeness the second she withdraws. But when you don't follow her retreat with neediness, when you don't match her chaos with chaos, you reverse the game. Suddenly she's the one trying to understand you, trying to get back into your emotional space, because you've stopped being predictable, and that mystery is what hooks her. You also create emotional contrast. The more grounded you are, the more her emotions stand out. And when she sees that you can handle her in all her forms, happy, moody, distant, insecure, and you don't waver, you become her safe space. Not because you're soft, but because you're unmoved. And it's that emotional containment that makes her addicted. She knows that around you, she can feel everything, and you'll still be standing right there, calm, clear, unaffected. That's leadership. That's masculine stability. That's rare. Flinching is what average men do. She pulls back, they lean in. She gets quiet, they talk more. She throws an emotional curveball, they chase. But the man who doesn't flinch, he watches, he observes, he waits. He's not playing cold, he's just in control. And that control is so foreign to most women that it pulls them in. It triggers curiosity. It creates tension, because now, instead of holding emotional power over you, she feels drawn to the very thing she can't move. And nothing is more addicting than trying to unlock the man who refuses to be cracked open by force. When you don't flinch, you force her to elevate. She starts choosing her words more carefully. She starts watching her own energy. She becomes more intentional. Why? Because she realizes that immaturity won't work on you. That testing you doesn't earn closeness, it earns silence. That disrespect doesn't create attention, it creates distance. And that pattern reprograms her behavior, not because you lectured her, but because your calm became the mirror to her chaos. And that mirror, that's what transforms her. A woman gets addicted to the man who doesn't flinch because she can finally feel free around him. Free to express, free to feel, free to be vulnerable. Why? Because your stillness doesn't punish her emotion, it absorbs it. You don't make her wrong, you don't try to fix everything. You just let her be, while staying grounded in yourself. And that rare experience, it feels like safety, it feels like clarity, it feels like home. And once a woman feels that kind of masculine container, good luck getting her to walk away from it without a fight. It's not about being emotionally unavailable, it's about being emotionally untouchable. That means you feel everything, but you leak nothing. You're not numb, you're present, fully aware. But your awareness doesn't pull you into reaction, it holds you steady. You see the game, but you don't play it. You hear the tone, but you don't rise to meet it. You notice the shift, but you don't chase the reason behind it. You let her come to you, and when she does, she finds a man who's not waiting to be chosen. He's already chosen himself. The power of not flinching lies in emotional consistency. If she sees that no matter how turbulent things get, you remain emotionally disciplined, you immediately separate yourself from the crowd. Because now you're not trying to match her vibe, you're setting it. You're leading without trying. You're guiding her nervous system without saying a word. And that guidance, That subtle influence, that's what makes her trust you, not because you're perfect, but because you're predictable in the storm. And that kind of emotional predictability is irresistible. She starts to crave your approval, not because you withhold it, but because you give it sparingly and with intention. You're not like the other guys who throw compliments just to keep the peace. When you say something, it carries weight because she knows you mean it. You don't flinch at her beauty. You don't bend over backwards for her attention. You don't shower her with praise the second she gives you crumbs. And because of that, your validation becomes rare, and rare things are valued. Every time she earns a smile, a compliment, a deeper layer of your attention, it feels like a reward, not a routine. And that reward becomes something she chases, not out of manipulation, but because your presence has become a form of internal motivation for her to rise. The man who doesn't flinch knows how to hold emotional boundaries without ever raising his voice. He doesn't need to yell to make a point. He doesn't need to explain himself 3 times. He simply shows through his posture, his silence, his eye contact, that he's not here to engage in energy that doesn't match his own. And that energy is commanding, because she realizes something fast. She can either meet you where you are or lose you entirely. There's no negotiation, no emotional warfare, no drama that moves you. And that self-respect, that quiet refusal to bend, it creates deep psychological security and a low-grade addiction to your presence. You become her anchor without needing her approval. You stop caring about how she interprets your silence. You're not here to perform for emotional comfort. You're not trying to fix the vibe every time she withdraws. You're simply stable. When she's up, you're steady. When she's down, you're steady. And when she finally realizes she's in the presence of a man who doesn't flinch when she cries, when she screams, when she distances herself, she doesn't feel disconnected. She feels safe because she's not leading the emotional pace anymore. You are. And here's the paradox. When you don't flinch, she gives you more vulnerability, more softness, more truth. Why? Because she knows you can handle it. She stops using manipulation. She starts using manipulation. She starts communicating directly. She feels safe bringing you her real self, not because you demanded it, but because your stillness invited it. And when she begins opening up like that, something shifts in the dynamic. She's no longer in control of your attention, and that reverses the chase. Suddenly, she's not testing to see if you care. She's working to deserve the way you do. There's also something deeply primal about a man who doesn't flinch. It signals strength without aggression, dominance without ego, power without desperation. It tells her, I see you, I feel you, but I do not need to move for you. That lack of movement creates contrast. She feels the energy swirling in her body while you remain unshaken, and that polarity is what makes her crave you. Because now she's not just attracted to your presence, she's drawn to it. Her emotions want to be wrapped around your calm. Her chaos wants to meet your control. That's how you create desire that goes beyond the surface. And don't get it twisted. Flinching isn't just about what you say. It's about your body language, your timing, your energy. When you don't rush to text her back. When you don't jump when she calls. When you don't lean forward every time she steps back. That subtle restraint, that quiet confidence, that slow breathing, eye contact, and stillness in the middle of a heated moment, that's what sticks. That's what creates psychological contrast. That's what tells her, this man is different, this man can't be moved. And the harder she tries, the deeper she falls. Eventually you stop being the man she compares others to. You become the man they can't compete with. Not because you had more money, or looks, or charm, but because you had something rarer, emotional sovereignty. You didn't beg, you didn't bargain, you didn't build your identity on how she treated you. You were rooted, and that rootedness is what makes her feel like she lost something irreplaceable if she ever crosses the line. Because deep down she knows you're not afraid to walk, and a man who isn't afraid to walk is a man she never wants to lose. This type of energy doesn't just affect her, it affects how you see yourself. You stop operating from fear. You stop chasing comfort. You stop trying to decode every signal. You start living from the inside out. Your peace comes first. Your mission comes first. Your clarity becomes non-negotiable. And in that stillness, in that refusal to flinch at the noise, you build a life that attracts peace instead of chaos, real women instead of manipulators, and deep connection instead of performative affection. You become centered, and that center becomes your weapon. So why does she get addicted to the man who doesn't flinch? Because he gives her what no one else does: certainty. Not the certainty of attention, not the certainty of always saying the right thing, but the deeper kind. The kind that says, no matter what you do, I'll be good. I won't lose myself. I won't lower myself. I won't flinch. And that certainty makes her feel like she can finally let go, like she can finally trust. And trust, brother, not love, is what makes her stay, show up, soften, and submit without force. So remember this: flinching is natural for boys, but holding your frame when things get emotional, staying calm when she tests you, walking away without noise when respect is lost, that's what makes you a man she never forgets. Not because you were loud, but because you were still. Because while everyone else was moved by her chaos, you became the man who watched it all and never once lost his ground. That kind of man doesn't beg to be remembered. He lives in her mind long after the moment is over.